On November 19, 2025, when Catherine, Princess of Wales, stepped onto the red carpet at the Royal Albert Hall, something extraordinary caught the light. Cascading from her ears were diamonds that had witnessed nearly a century of royal history, jewels that began their journey in the glittering ateliers of 1920s Paris, passed through the hands of a brewery heiress who became one of Britain's most influential society hostesses, and were given to a future Queen Mother with loving thoughts during the darkest days of World War II. Just one day earlier, Queen Camilla had made her own stunning jewellery statement at Windsor Castle, wearing a tiara so spectacular, featuring a 93.7-carat emerald at its centre, that it had remained essentially hidden from public view for over 70 years. These weren't random choices. These were the Greville jewels, and their sudden, coordinated reappearance tells us something profound about legacy, patience, and the quiet power of women who understand that the most meaningful gifts are sometimes the ones we preserve for exactly the right moment. Today, I want to take you inside the remarkable story of how these magnificent pieces came to exist, why they disappeared for so long, and what their return means for the modern royal family. The woman who changed everything. To understand the significance of what we witnessed in November 2025, we need to travel back to Edwardian Britain and meet an extraordinary woman who would forever alter the British royal jewellery collection. Dame Margaret Helen Greville, known affectionately as Mrs. Ronnie to her friends, was not born into nobility. She was the daughter of William McEwen, a Scottish brewery magnate, and his mistress, Helen Anderson. Born in 1863 under circumstances that Victorian society would have deemed scandalous, Margaret transformed herself into one of the most influential society hostesses of her generation. In 1891, she married Captain Ronald Greville, heir to a baronetcy and a member of the fashionable Marlborough set. Though Ronald died in 1908, leaving Margaret a childless widow, she had already secured her position in the upper echelons of British society. Her magnificent country estate, Polesden Lacey in Surrey, became the setting for legendary weekend parties where royalty, statesmen, and celebrities mingled. King Edward VII himself graced her first party in June 1909 as the guest of honour. But Margaret Greville's most lasting legacy wasn't her parties. It was her exquisite taste in jewellery and the deep friendship she cultivated with the royal family, particularly with Queen Mary and, most significantly, with a young Duchess who would one day become Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. In 1923, when the Duke and Duchess of York, later King George VI and Queen Elizabeth, married, Margaret offered them Polesden Lacey for their honeymoon. The newlyweds spent 2 idyllic weeks there in May 1923. This gesture of hospitality cemented a bond that would have profound consequences for the British crown jewels. The creation of masterpieces. Margaret Greville didn't just collect jewellery, she commissioned it with vision and patience. In December 1918, as the world celebrated the armistice, she walked into the prestigious Cartier atelier in London with a vision for a pair of brilliant drop earrings. But Margaret wasn't satisfied with a static design. Over the next 11 years, she returned to Cartier repeatedly to enhance her creation. In September 1922, 12 more diamonds, 6 marquise-cut stones, and 6 baton brilliants were added to lengthen the earrings. Then, in February 1929, the earrings received their final transformation when 10 additional diamonds of various cuts were incorporated. The result was breathtaking, what experts now call a lexicon of modern diamond cuts, featuring pear-shaped, half-moon, trapeze, square, baguette, baton, and emerald-cut diamonds, all set in platinum. These weren't merely earrings. They were wearable sculpture, a showcase of everything the Art Deco era represented: innovation, luxury, and the breaking of traditional boundaries. Around the same time, Margaret commissioned another spectacular piece from Boucheron in Paris. In 1919, she acquired what would become known as the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik, a tiara featuring a massive 93.7-carat cabochon emerald at its center, surrounded by pavé-set diamonds and 6 smaller emeralds. Inspired by the Kokoshnik-style headdresses popularized in the Russian imperial court, the tiara was considered bold and fashionable when it was made. Margaret wore it occasionally during the 1930s, including to a concert at the Austrian Embassy in London in 1937, during King George VI's coronation festivities. But these jewels were destined for a greater purpose than even Margaret's glittering social calendar. A bequest made with love. On September 15, 1942, Dame Margaret Greville died at the Dorchester Hotel in London. She left behind no children, but she had meticulously planned for the future of her treasures. Her jewels, more than 60 pieces valued at over £100 each, were bequeathed to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, with her loving thoughts. When Queen Elizabeth received the news, she wrote to Queen Mary with touching sincerity, "I must tell you that Mrs. Greville has left me her jewels. She has left them to me with her loving thoughts, dear old thing, and I feel very touched. I don't suppose I shall see what they consist of for a long time, owing to the slowness of lawyers and death duties, etc., but it is rather exciting to be left something, and I do admire beautiful stones with all my heart." In 1943, a black tin trunk embossed with the initials MHG arrived at Buckingham Palace. Inside lay a treasure trove that would dazzle even the most jaded royal observer. The collection included the Greville tiara, the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik, the festoon necklace, and of course, the chandelier earrings. Mindful of public opinion during wartime and the subsequent period of austerity, Queen Elizabeth kept quiet about the bequest for years. She didn't wear many of the pieces publicly until after the war's end. But when she did begin to wear them, the Greville jewels became some of her most beloved treasures. From mother to daughter. In 1947, as Princess Elizabeth prepared to marry Lieutenant Philip Mountbatten, her mother made a touching decision. She would give her daughter the Greville Chandelier Earrings as a wedding present. It was a gift laden with meaning, jewelry that represented friendship, loyalty, and the continuity of royal tradition. There was just one small problem. Princess Elizabeth didn't yet have pierced ears. She would have to wait until 1951, when she was 25 years old, to finally wear the extraordinary earrings. But once she could wear them, they became some of her most beloved jewels. On November 12, 1952, just months after ascending to the throne following her father's unexpected death, the young Queen Elizabeth II wore the Greville Chandelier Earrings to the Royal Variety performance at the London Palladium. She paired them with the Nizam of Hyderabad tiara and necklace, along with Queen Mary's diamond bracelets, all wedding gifts. It was a statement of continuity and confidence from a 26-year-old monarch facing the enormous responsibility of the crown. Throughout her 70-year reign, Queen Elizabeth II wore the earrings for some of the most significant occasions: state visits to the Netherlands in 1958, to Denmark, to France, and a memorable visit to President Gerald Ford at the White House in Washington, D.C. in July 1976. Each time, the earrings sparkled with the same brilliance that had captivated Margaret Greville decades earlier. The mystery of the emerald. But what of the spectacular Greville Emerald Kokoshnik? After Margaret Greville's death in 1942, when it joined the other Greville jewels in the Queen Mother's collection, it seemingly vanished. Neither the Queen Mother nor Queen Elizabeth II ever wore the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik in public. Its existence was known to royal jewellery experts, but photographs were scarce. The tiara remained a mystery until October 2018. That's when Princess Eugenie chose it for her wedding to Jack Brooksbank at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle. The decision stunned royal watchers around the world. Here was a tiara that had been essentially unseen for over 7 decades, suddenly gracing a royal bride on one of the most photographed days of her life. With her Peter Pilotto gown and matching emerald earrings, Eugénie made the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik instantly iconic. The choice was seen by many as a thoughtful gesture from Queen Elizabeth II to her granddaughter. The tiara, now valued at an estimated £10 to £13 million, sparkled under the lights of St George's Chapel, finally receiving the public admiration it had been denied for so long. November 2025, a coordinated return, which brings us to those remarkable days in November 2025. When Queen Camilla chose to wear the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik 7 years after Eugénie's wedding to the diplomatic corps reception at Windsor Castle, it was seen by many as a thoughtful nod to her stepniece. But it was also something more, a declaration that this magnificent piece was no longer a relic to be hidden away, but a working jewel in the modern royal collection. The tiara sparkled under the lights of Windsor Castle as Camilla greeted diplomats from around the world alongside King Charles III and Prince William. It was the first time a queen consort had worn the piece, and it marked a new chapter in the tiara's public life. Just 1 day later, Catherine, Princess of Wales, appeared at the Royal Variety performance wearing the Greville Chandelier Earrings. She paired them with a sumptuous emerald velvet gown by Talbot Runhoff and Queen Mary's diamond bar choker, ingeniously worn as a bracelet on her right wrist. The coordination was striking. Within 24 hours, 2 of the most significant Greville pieces had appeared on 2 of the most prominent royal women, both honouring the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II, who had passed away just over a year earlier in September 2022. The companion jewel. That diamond bracelet that graced Catherine's wrist has its own fascinating story. Originally a choker necklace created in the Art Deco style of the 1920s, it was one of several such pieces in Queen Mary's extensive collection. Composed of geometric diamond bars in a subdued modernist design, the choker exemplified the clean lines and architectural inspiration that defined Art Deco jewellery. The exact origins of the piece are somewhat mysterious. It was created by the prestigious firm of Garrard, possibly in 1932. Queen Mary wore it frequently as a choker during the 1920s and 1930s, often layered with her other magnificent diamond necklaces. After Queen Mary's death in 1953, the choker wasn't seen publicly for over 2 decades. It reappeared in 1975 when the Queen Mother wore it as a bracelet in a series of portraits by Norman Parkinson to mark her 75th birthday. This transformation from choker to bracelet demonstrated the adaptability of royal jewels and the practical mindset of the royal women who wore them. After the Queen Mother's death in 2002, the bracelet passed to Queen Elizabeth II, who loaned it to Catherine, Princess of Wales. Catherine debuted it at the 2015 state banquet honouring Chinese President Xi Jinping, paired with the lotus flower tiara. Since then, she has worn it on numerous occasions, each time honouring the memory of the strong royal women who came before her. What makes these jewels so compelling isn't just their monetary value or their technical brilliance, though both are undeniable. It's the human stories they carry. Dame Margaret Greville, a woman born under circumstances that could have excluded her from polite society, rose to become one of the most influential hostesses of her age through sheer force of personality, excellent taste, and genuine warmth. Her friendship with the royal family wasn't calculated social climbing, it was genuine affection. The bequest represented more than a transfer of wealth. It was Margaret Greville's way of ensuring that her jewels, pieces she had carefully commissioned and refined over decades, would have a purpose beyond her death. In her will, she specified that the jewels were to be worn by queens. In Catherine, Princess of Wales, a future Queen consort, and in Queen Camilla, Margaret's wishes continue to be honoured more than 80 years after her death. For Queen Elizabeth II, these jewels represented both her mother's love and a dear family friend's generosity. She treasured them throughout her reign, wearing them on significant state occasions and ensuring they were carefully preserved. In an age of fast fashion and disposable culture, these jewels stand as testament to enduring beauty, careful stewardship, and the power of objects to carry memory and meaning across generations. They are, quite literally, history you can wear. The reappearance of the Greville jewels in November 2025 wasn't just about beautiful diamonds and emeralds catching the light at royal events. It was about honouring the women who came before. Margaret Greville, who chose friendship over dynasty. The Queen Mother, who treasured these gifts throughout her long life. And Queen Elizabeth II, who wore them with pride and preserved them with care. What strikes you most about the journey of these magnificent jewels? Is it Margaret Greville's remarkable rise and generosity? The patience of waiting 70 years for the emerald tiara to shine again? Or the way Catherine and Camilla have brought these pieces back into the light? I would truly love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through royal history and the remarkable women who shaped it, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. There are so many more stories waiting to be told, and I can't wait to share them with you. Thank you for joining me today.